We often think of great inventions as a single flash of brilliance, a light bulb literally turning on above someone's head. But what if the real story wasn't a flash, but a long, slow, and often frustrating flicker? The story of the light bulb is one we think we know. But the truth is, it's not about one man, and it's certainly not about one magical moment. Before electric light, the world ran on a different clock. When the sun went down, life, for the most part, went with it. Our nights were lit by fire, candles, oil lamps, and in the big cities, the green, flickering glow of gaslight was the best they had, but it was dirty, dangerous, and expensive. The world was waiting for a new kind of light, a safer, cleaner, and more reliable light. And many, many people were trying to find it. You see, the idea of electric light wasn't new. Scientists had known for decades that if you pass electricity through a thin wire, or what they called a filament, it would glow. The problem was that it would glow for a few seconds, maybe a minute, and then burn out. That was the glitch. The big, expensive, frustrating glitch. Dozens of inventors across the world had already created early versions of an electric light. But none of them were practical. None of them could last. They were like a beautiful idea that just couldn't survive in the real world. The challenge wasn't just to make a light, it was to make a light that would last. And then came Thomas Edison. Now, Edison was already a celebrity inventor. He was known for his incredible work ethic and his almost magical ability to turn ideas into reality. When he announced that he was going to solve the problem of electric light, the world listened. In fact, they did more than listen. The stocks of the gas companies plummeted. People had that much faith in him. Edison, in his classic style, made a bold promise. He said he would have a working, commercial light bulb within months. The pressure was on. What Edison understood better than anyone else was that this wasn't just about inventing a light bulb. It was about inventing an entire system. He needed generators, wires, switches, meters, everything. But at the heart of it all was that one tiny, frustrating piece, the filament. He and his team, and it's important to remember it was a team, started experimenting. They tried platinum. It was too expensive and still didn't last long enough. They tried other metals. None of them worked. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Edison's bold promise was starting to look like a mistake. This is where the real story begins. Not with a flash of genius, but with the slow, grinding reality of failure. This was Edison's glitch. Not a single problem, but a mountain of them. Every single day, they would find another way that didn't work. There's a famous quote from Edison, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." It's a nice line, but imagine living it. Imagine the sheer exhaustion, the cost, the public ridicule. The newspapers started to mock him, calling him a dreamer, a failure. The problem was a scientific puzzle. The filament needed to be thin, with high resistance to electricity, so it would glow brightly without needing a huge amount of power. But it also had to be incredibly durable to withstand that heat, all inside a vacuum-sealed glass bulb. After trying every metal they could think of, they turned to carbon. Edison had an idea. He remembered the soot that collected on the inside of his kerosene lamps. It was pure carbon. What if they could create a filament from that? So they started trying to carbonize everything. They tried paper, wood splinters, coconut hair, fishing line, you name it. For months, they meticulously baked and tested hundreds, then thousands of different materials. The failures piled up. The mood in the lab grew tense. And then, one evening in October of 1879, after more than a year of relentless work, they tried a simple piece of carbonized cotton thread. It was delicate, hard to work with, and they had little hope it would be any different from the rest. They carefully placed it in the bulb, pumped out the air to create a vacuum, and with bated breath, they connected the power. And it lit up. A soft, gentle, orange glow. But would it last? They watched. And they waited. An hour passed. Then two. It was still glowing. The team was exhausted but refused to leave. They watched it all through the night. This wasn't just a light, it was a beacon of hope. It burned for over 13 hours. That was it. That was the breakthrough. It wasn't the perfect filament, not by a long shot. But it was proof. proof that it could be done. The glitch, the mountain of failures, had finally been overcome. Of course, the story didn't end there. They continued to search for an even better filament, eventually finding that carbonized bamboo could last for over 1,200 hours. And Edison had to fight off rivals, most notably Joseph Swan in England, who had been working on a similar idea. It's easy to get lost in the science and the history, but what this story is really about is something deeply human. It's about perseverance. It's about the belief that if you just keep trying, if you keep learning from your mistakes, you can eventually find a solution. And it's about collaboration. We remember the name Thomas Edison, but he didn't do it alone. He had a team of dedicated researchers, machinists, and glassblowers, his muckers, who shared his vision and his work ethic. They were the ones who lived the 10,000 failures alongside him. The glitch in Edison's story wasn't a flaw in the final product. The glitch was the process itself. It was the messy, frustrating, and deeply human journey of creation. It's a reminder that progress isn't a straight line. It's a winding path filled with dead ends and moments of doubt. And maybe that's a lesson that resonates with us as we get older. We understand that the most meaningful things in life rarely come from a single flash of inspiration. They come from dedication, from sticking with something when it's hard, and from the quiet satisfaction of seeing it through. The world changed almost overnight. Factories could run 24 hours a day. Streets became safer. Homes became brighter. The very rhythm of human life was altered. All because a small team in a lab in New Jersey refused to give up on a flickering piece of thread. The technology has evolved, of course. Today's light bulbs are wonders of efficiency that Edison could have only dreamed of. But the principle remains the same. The legacy of that first, long-burning bulb isn't just in the light it produced, but in the lesson it taught us about how innovation truly happens. It's not about waiting for the perfect idea. It's about having the courage to start, the resilience to fail, and the wisdom to know that sometimes the biggest breakthroughs are found only after you've worked your way through every possible glitch.